Hello, my name is Julia Golden. I'm the Associate Dean of Students at MCPHS, and I serve the Boston, Worcester, and Manchester campus. I came here about 4 years ago and really started some of the diversity initiatives for the institution. And I really wanted to share with you all some of the initiatives that we have here and how we're trying to really make sure that we are thinking about what equity looks like across our campuses. So I'm really excited to share that with you all today, and I hope you enjoy this PowerPoint that I put together for you. So one of the things that you should know is while I travel to all three campuses, my main office is located in Fennel 107. And I wanted to put a fun fact in here for you all, something that might help you remember who I am. I have a puppy named Logan, and actually I named him after the Logan Airport. I travel a lot, or used to during pre-COVID times, and I'm sure we'll get back to that as well, and traveling around the world. But I thought that'd be a fun fact for you all to remember me by. So Logan, my dog, he's pretty awesome. And also, when I am in the Worcester and Manchester departments, and I'm going to visit and travel those campuses, I would also be located in the Student Affairs Suite. So no matter which campus I'm on, I'm always within Student Affairs. You know, one of the main focuses on equity work is that we want you all as students to understand this is not just work that you'll be learning for yourself as an individual, but it's also the impact you have on the profession and respective field that you will be entering. I want to make sure that students understand that equity work is really going to be a part of how you dive in and think about the work that you would be doing, whether it's serving clients and patients, whether it is about the research that you are performing, or whether it's everyday conversations and bedside manner. We have to be prepared to work with anybody who comes across us and understand that even if we have not too much in common, that together we can create a difference, and together we can have good conversations and communicate well. That to me is the goal here. To get there, it takes a lot of self-reflection. It takes a chance of us thinking about who we are in this world and how do we navigate this world? What are the values that we brought forward to MCPHS? But also, how does MCPHS increase those abilities for us to talk about who we are? So really, it's a process and a goal. And I think that's super important for our students to understand that this is not something that you will graduate and be like, I'm an expert now. This is a lifelong commitment into equity work. And we want you to start that journey if you haven't already here at MCPHS. So we're really excited to be a part of that journey with you. You know, you might be wondering, if you're not coming from a marginalized identity-based group, you might be wondering, why does diversity matter? And there's a couple of facts that, I just want you to take a chance to read here. Really what it comes down to is we know in the United States that we are having more and more of these marginalized groups, population grow, and different communities really grow. And I think especially in Boston, I've lived here for 10 years, we're seeing so many different types of people move into Boston and really form a community around us. And so one, it's how do we honor different people coming from different places? But I think another part of this is we also want for you to know that MCPHS, the students who comprise of our institution, we're really lucky. We have about 7% African-American or Black Americans who do attend, and some of those are even international students who do attend this institution. That's twice the amount of most college institutions in the Boston area. Most of them only have 3%. For our Latinx or Latinx AO students, we actually have about 7% as well. Most institutions only have 2 to 3% at their institutions. So we know that domestically, that our student population is very diverse. When you include international students, though, we have people coming throughout and from all parts of the world. And I think it's really important that, again, if we're going to be a diverse institution, just because we're here doesn't mean we know how to work together, doesn't mean we know how to support one another academically, professionally, or even socially. So I think this is, again, why diversity matters and why these conversations are so important. It's also, again, we want to make sure that we're preparing you for your profession. We want you to think about different types of health disparities, again, for marginalized communities. We know, for instance, and when we look at African-American or Black women, we know that their mortality rates can be quite large compared to other groups. We know that our students really want to start talking about LGBTQ, that's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender health, and think about how that community may be impacted in health. either way, we really want to think about all the various people that could be impacted if we are not doing the best that we can to serve different types of populations. So health disparities is a big part of something that we want to focus on. A lot of our students, as well as our staff and faculty, also do a lot of research around this topic. So it's important that we highlight the various ways that you can talk about not only understanding in what ways you can contribute in decreasing health disparities, but also understanding the best practices and research out there that's been occurring in the past 5 years. Again, being inclusive, one of the best reasons to really think about why this is important is at the end of the day, we want our students to feel like they can authentically be themselves. And I know that that's a privilege, and I know that's not something that's easy for everybody, but we want to be able to be an advocate for others and allow them to feel like not only can they be themselves, but we can provide an outlet for our peers. And so it's important that students think about, who am I in this world, and how do I provide an outlet for others? Am I someone who can show up for others, even when they have maybe different values than me, and maybe even they have a different life than me? How do I show up? We want students to be able, to ask what resources they need. And all our student leaders, as well as our students, can say, you know what, I heard from this chat, or I heard from this video, or I heard from this Zoom that perhaps this is another resource you need to know about. So being aware of resources on campus is super important in being inclusive. We also want to make sure that you are familiar with staff and faculty who can be an advocate or a mentor to you. So perhaps you might notice me on this and you might say, you know what, Dean Golden is someone that might be able to hear me out or might understand where I'm coming from. So we want to offer you a chance to connect with others and have a chance to, maybe if you try and trust me and see if you can talk with me, if I don't have the exact answer, maybe I can lead you to someone who does. And that's super important. After all, we are an educational institution. And I think one of the challenges in education and the world right now is not everybody is ready to have hard conversations. But I think in an educational institution, we have to learn how to have these hard conversations, and being inclusive is part of that. One of the groups I actually advise and really excited to work with is Intercultural Student Advocates. They're a group that's been on campus for many years, and one of the best parts of this group is they want to be peer mentors. They want to educate on various cultures that they're seeing domestically and internationally at MCPHS. They're student leaders who take time to learn about different cultures themselves and then put on programs. You can look at their Instagram. They're actually very active and like to put out educational information, resources, and just have fun and talk and connect with people. In the past, we've had people from speakers and poets to activities that they brought to on campus. I think it's been a really amazing time to see them also influence ACPO and think about, what does student leadership look like in an inclusive lens? Really proud of working with them. One of the different trainings that I provide for all 3 campuses is something called Safe Zone trainings. For many of our students who are LGBTQ, and again, that's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, sometimes they're not always sure how they fit into a college campus. Maybe this is the first time they're able to be out on campus. So Safe Zone trainings allows them to feel connected to their own community. But we also have Safe Zone trainings for those who want to be advocates to the LGBTQ community. Perhaps it's something where students are saying, you know what, I have friends who identify within the queer community and I want to show up for them. Or I want to understand the latest information and research in healthcare and understand how I would serve an LGBTQ patient. We go through all of that and more. And I think this is something where our program is very specific to MCPHS and actually talking about healthcare within this community. It's something we're really proud of. One of the different groups that we also connect with on this is GASA, the Gender and Sexuality Association. They're a student organization that's formed in the past couple of years, as well as the Worcester campus has a group similarly, an LGBTQ group there as well. We are wanting to make sure that all of our campuses have the chance to be a part of this training. So it's something that we're really proud of, that all 3 campuses over time have really developed specific resources towards this training. If you ever have questions on how to be an ally or information on that you want to be provided on LGBTQ resources, always feel free to connect with me. Food and financial insecurity nationally, unfortunately, is a number that we're seeing uprise. We notice now, especially during COVID-19, many families have been financially impacted. And we want to understand that and listen to the students who might need extra resources. And some of those resources include, we do have a food pantry on the Boston campus and deliver to the Worcester and Manchester campuses. This is an initiative I started about 2 years ago and one I'm really proud of. I know that for me, it's important that students not only think about how are they going to survive, but how will they also be able to academically thrive. You can't study on an empty stomach, and that's just a fact. So I want to make sure that you as a student understand that we not only can provide gift cards to grocery stores and food from our food pantry, but that also if you need book supplies or school supplies or lab supplies, that is something that we can also provide for you. And now, especially, we are also able to deliver this to you and to your homes so that you do not have to come to campus or be in contact with others if you choose not to be. I think it's important to know that it's okay to ask for help. We see more and more through research and the Wisconsin Hope Lab reports saying that students don't always know that it's okay to ask for help. And so we're trying to fight that stigma of showing we understand it's a hard conversation to come forward and talk about financial situations. But if you're able to come to me and talk with me about your situation, I'm always able to help evaluate and see the resources that might be available in order to help you. We're also excited to have an interfaith prayer space. This is in Whitehall and Griffin Hall. It's something that's open to everyone, all different types of faiths. And I think what's really amazing about MCPHS is this is a college campus and the multiple campuses where spirituality is actually talked about a lot and celebrate often. We have so many different kind of faiths, I think, because we are international. And so we wanted to have prayer spaces. And I believe there's also prayer spaces in Worcester and Manchester campus as well. And this is a priority because, again, we saw a need for students who wanted to celebrate their spirituality. And so we came through with a prayer space, making sure that students had a choice to think about how they could reflect and how they could come together with others to think about their spirituality. So that's really important. And if you are international students, we actually have a whole bunch of international student resources and center information specifically geared towards you and your experience. And that's on Blackboard, should you have any questions on that. And I think it's important to understand that all of us are here in student affairs, as well as the work that I do with the diversity inclusion work. We try to make sure that those resources are also relevant to you. So even food and financial security resources are relevant to international students. And so never feel like just because you're an international student, you can't ask questions or come and work with me. I'll try to figure out in the best ways that we can connect. And I just wanted to say thank you. I recognize that now more than ever, I think we as a nation are learning how to really come together and have hard conversations. And sometimes it feels really trying. But I think at MCPHS, we're really trying to think about not only how we encourage these conversations, but how we influence the way our students are studying, researching, coming together, and creating community. Equity work is something that we are just starting to really dive into specifically, even in thinking about how we hear students out. So if there's ever a student who says, you know what, here are more diversity efforts I'm looking forward to, or I really would like to have at MCPHS, there's always a way to give feedback. And feel free to contact me. My email's right here. And should you have an idea of what you would like to see at MCPHS, we are more than willing to hear you out and work with you. So thank you so much and have a great day.